Hey guys, Jim here. Time to do another new acquisition video. It's been probably a week and a half since I've had a chance to really sit down and do a recent video. There will be more coming. I may have slowed down on the videos, but I have not slowed down on my acquisitions. So let's start here with something I find pretty exciting. For those of you that may remember, if you've watched some of my older videos, I was chasing my first Kirby Lambert for quite a while. Every time I thought I had one nailed down, I ended up missing it for one reason or another. And that was my Orion MGT, which I'm still very, very much in love with. It is a fantastic knife and a great example of what Kirby does best, and that's creating a nearly flawless, impressively smooth knife. Now, after feeling how smooth this one operates and how quickly that blade flies out on a thumb stud, my next quest was to find a flipper. And what I had assumed was I was going to be getting a Snap MGT, which would be the same size as an Orion, same multi-grind Tanto, that's what MGT stands for, but just with a flipper. And I began searching and searching and searching, never could quite find one. Then I came across this. This is a brand new model, and as far as I've seen on YouTube, I haven't seen anybody do a video on one of these yet. So this will be the first time I think somebody's actually done a video review, or an overview I should say, on his brand new Blitz. He started making these only about, well, I go back onto his Instagram when he was building this one. He basically did 3 or 4 knives at the same time, and that goes back about 12 weeks from today's date, which is October 13th. So this is a really, really new model. Only a handful of these exist as of right now. I think there are probably only 4 or 5. I know he went to the Plaza Cutlery show, which is going on right now. This is Sunday during that show. So he probably brought 1 or 2 with him there as well. So it's a very, very new model. And as you see, it's signature Kirby style. Let's take a look at it up against the Orion. You're going to see a lot of the same ergonomics, the way the handle is shaped. But instead of being kind of at this angle down here, it kind of swoops down and curves around the butt end. It's giving you the same kind of bolster look using similar materials. My Orion is lightning strike carbon fiber with black G10, blasted titanium liners, standard titanium standoffs, the black clip. He's sending me the gray clip, or the silver clip I should say. First one got lost in the mail. He's replacing that one too. So what he's done on this is he's used carbon fiber for the main scale, lightning strike carbon fiber for the bolsters. He's using a nice custom pivot here with tritone anodizing. So you've got kind of this medium blue on the outer edges. You have the gold anodizing on the tri-wing area, and the center star is done in a deeper, more royal blue. So I love that. Once I saw that, I knew I had to have this. I was a little iffy on it at first just because it's a really similar look in the materials to what I already had, but once I saw that pivot, I had to have it. Another thing that he did here is the titanium liners are all done in another medium blue anodizing, and then he contrasts that with the royal blue on the titanium standoffs. So altogether, it's a really beautiful package. It's pretty subtle. It's not, you know, like having black and white. It's not a really sharp contrast, but it's just enough to attract your attention. Got plenty of room between the blade and the standoffs there. That's pretty impressive. And it's still a pretty slim profile and easy to carry. Now, as far as the size differences go, the Orion is a 3.5 inch blade, and the Blitz is going to be a 3 3/4 inch blade. The funny thing is, it feels a lot more compact than that. You know, this is basically going to be in the size of a Bodega or an Umnumzan or something like that, yet it feels like it's a little bit smaller for some reason. Overall, the ergonomics are fantastic. It feels awesome in the hand, where the Orion, as much as I love it, it's still a little bit short and stubby. And, you know, he builds these with a particular thickness, a particular fatness to it. So this really feels chubby in the hand, which I love. I think it's a great feeling. This feels every bit as chubby. It doesn't feel that much longer because he's utilizing every bit of that handle to put the blade into. So he's not creating a handle that's an extra, half-inch longer than his blade is. He's really fitting it in there very, very well. The action is incredible. IKBS bearings around the pivot. Flipper tab, you guys know I'm really particular about my flipper tabs. I don't want one that's going to be sharp and have edges because I really do play with my knives a lot. And I'll sit there and I'll flip a knife forever, just endlessly. And you end up getting calluses and whatnot from flippers that aren't shaped well. This is rounded off nicely. It's still got a little bit of a corner here and here, but it's really not bothersome at all. It doesn't have the fancy MGT grind, but it's still got a beautiful grind where you've got a nice top swedge going down all the way to the tip. And it's a matching grind on the other side, whereas with the MGT, you do get the multi-grind on one side and the somewhat simpler grind on the other, which I dig because it's asymmetrical, gives you something interesting to look at it on both sides of the knife. I think overall this has got a great balance to it. It feels wonderful in the hands. It doesn't feel particularly blade heavy or handle heavy. It's got a really nice balance. His legendary smoothness. It's just overall fantastic. Here's the lockup. His lock geometry is great. I've never seen any of his liner locks moving over, getting a little inchy over and over and over, so I'd expect for years and years to come it's going to have the same lockup. As with all of his knives, everything is wonderfully radiused. There are no hot spots, nothing to irritate your fingers, your thumbs, or your hand as you're either holding or manipulating the knife in any way. You guys know certain knives. One that I really had a big call out one was my RJ Martin. It's just rough in there. It's hard to disengage that lock repeatedly without your thumb getting sore or getting pinched in between the liner and the frame. He just does a beautiful job. I mean, there's really not a nit to pick with any of his knives. And when I look across his collections, I could honestly say that I could own nothing but Kirby Lamberts in my collection and be perfectly happy. It's very seldom that you find one maker that is so consistent. You listen to anybody that talks about Kirby Lambert knives, whether it be their own knife or they're just simply doing a review, they all say the same thing. They're made flawlessly. Everything is fitted perfectly. They look fantastic. I mean, again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I happen to like Kirby's designs. It doesn't matter what knife you pick up, when he made it, what year, how many he was making at the same time. Nothing seems to feel rushed. Everything is just perfect, and his actions are amazing. This is one flipper that lets me choose how I want to flip. I can rock back on it, as you guys know I typically enjoy doing when using a flipper, and it rockets out. Or you could do the old button press on it, push down. You could do it either way. It's a little bit quicker when you do it that way. But he's got a great system on how he's built this. The tang in relation to the pivot and everything else, it just works. By using IKBS, you've got that legendary smoothness. As with all of the blades that I've experienced from him, super crazy sharp. He does a great job in sharpening. As you can see, a really nice job on the finish. You've got a little bit of a reflection there on his satin. Does a very, very good job. Overall, you can't really ever pick a Lambert apart and go, well, if they only did this or he only did that, it'd be a little bit better. The only one single call out that I have is his clips. I mean, it's such a standard clip that you could see on any $50 knife, and I don't think that this clip lives up to the quality that's represented in the overall knife. And I'm not sure why he's never changed. Maybe he just kind of looks at it as, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because it does work great. It's got great retention. I've already carried this a couple of times. It's got great retention. It's a good size. It fits well in the pocket. It's low profile. It doesn't really feel all too obtrusive in the hand. So maybe he just looks at it and says, I don't really need to change it. But I'll be honest with you, if he had a nice contoured three-dimensional clip on there, or even if he did it, oh, how cool would that be? Just a nice G10 clip. Or he did a carbon fiber clip, depending on what materials he's using on the scales or on the bolsters to give you either a match or a contrast, that would be kind of nice. And it wouldn't be all that difficult for him to do. So yeah, that would be the one single call out. The other thing is we're starting to see a lot of knife makers in this price range as they're moving their way up. And I think Kirby's going to be doing that as well. This is about an $850, $900 knife. And I can easily see these going up over $1,000 very quickly. And when you start getting over $1,000, what we're seeing a lot of knife makers doing now is hidden hardware. And it would be nice to see that on his knives as well. While it does give him a nice chance to do anodizing, he did anodize these two screws in a gold color to kind of offset with the pivot. These are just left black. If he had done the hardware from behind in the titanium and left all this smooth, I think, sure, it would be a nice, cleaner look. To me, the screws don't take away from the look of the knife because we're so used to seeing that. That's a very common thing. But again, as the price points creep up a little bit, we tend to expect a little bit more, make my knife a little bit more special than anybody else's. So that may be something that could be looked at as an area of opportunity. But again, I don't think that it takes away from the beauty of this knife at all. Would it be better with hidden hardware? Yes. Does it make this knife ugly because it doesn't have that? No. So I guess that's the best way I can put it. So anyway, I'm not going to get too terribly detailed. If you want to find out more about Kirby and the way he manufactures makes his knives, then check out the review that I did on my Orion MGT. There's a lot more information there. I just wanted to kind of take the time here to let you get a good look at what I believe, unless I didn't really search all that hard, what I believe is the very first Blitz to be shown on YouTube. It's sexy, it's beautiful, it's everything that you expect from a Kirby Lambert. It's basically like buying into a Snap MGT, but a little bit slimmer in the blade, obviously, and just a little bit longer. So it's got maybe a little bit more sex appeal to you. It's a little bit slender looking, but even with the extra length to the blade and the obvious added weight, doesn't slow it down a bit. Nice clean grind, something that he's doing a little bit differently. Right after he built the prototype, it was this one and one or two other ones that he built next. This is one of the very first that he's ever built. But the cool thing with Kirby, again, is his consistency. I wouldn't expect there to be a lot of changes or a lot of evolutions in this model because he doesn't put out a lot of different models. And he takes his time in between models. So you could tell he's looking at every possible detail. Instead of putting a knife out, getting it out there for a few months, and then tweaking it and changing the design over time, they stay relatively the same. I mean, again, you're going to have different materials and whatnot for different customs because everything he makes is a pure custom. But he's not making any significant design changes because he got it right before he ever released it. Right now, his order books are over 2 years from the last I heard. They are still open, however. I am now 11 months out from getting my order in, and I can't wait to do it. Wait till you guys see that. That's going to be sick. I proposed a few challenges to him, so we'll see how that works out. I mean, I really asked for the moon, and we'll probably meet somewhere in the middle. I may have reached a little bit too far, but he is a wonderful gentleman to deal with. But he's very busy, so, you email him, you may not hear back for a week or so, and that's fine. This is a one-man operation, and he's taking a lot of time to build really super quality knives, so he's not spending his entire day on the friggin' internet or in his email. So all I could say is the same thing I said in my Orion video. If you've ever wanted to get your hands on a Kirby Lambert and for some reason you are being held back by anything, you were worried about this or that, well, I haven't held one, is it going to live up to my expectations for the money I'm spending? Don't keep making excuses. Just buy one. And the great thing is that the market's great on Kirby Lamberts right now. If you were to get one and decide, it's not for me, which is what I did here. When I got this, I said, well, if it's not for me, I'll just get a snap. I'll find a snap and I'll sell this. But now that I've got it, I feel no need to get rid of it for a snap. This is a really great knife. And I think that everybody that gets a Kirby Lambert in their hands feels the same way. They may not be as flashy or as crazily overdone as some other knives that are out there. I'll give you an example of a knife that I'll be doing a review on very shortly here, my Matt Cucciara Dorado. You know, there's a little bit more design aspect that goes into this, I would guess. A lot more detail work that goes into it. But it doesn't need to be that flashy. It's a perfect everyday carry tactical folder, tactical flipper in this case. And every time I touch it, I fall more in love. That's what she said. Every time I pick it up, it becomes one of those knives that I don't want to put down. And every now and then you come across a maker that makes a knife where when you get your new one, you forsake all other knives in your collection. And you just don't want to carry anything else. And for me, my Lamberts are the same way. So I'm definitely seeking more out right now. And every time I come across another nice one with different materials, like right now I still want to get a snap, but I want to get something maybe in zirconium, just different look, different materials. I think I'm good with my carbon fiber and lightning strike carbon fiber looks in my Lamberts. I'm going to be looking now for something a little bit different. And if it takes me 6 months or a year, that's fine. If it's not until I get the order that I have in with Kirby, that's fine. Because I went in a very different direction with the knife that I requested for him to build for me. So again, don't make any excuses. If you come across a Lambert and it's in a price range that you're comfortable spending, don't worry about the value. The value is there. These are some of the best made knives in the industry, period, bar none. And if for some reason you get it and you're just not madly in love with it, you'll be able to sell it without taking a loss and do so very quickly because his knives are in demand. They are getting harder to get. You know, they do still pop up on dealer websites, but when they do, they're gone, you know, within a day, and then they're not seen again for a while. When you see them flipped on forums or on eBay, they're usually going for a few dollars more than the initial customer paid. So you're not going to have any issues if for some reason you're just not a fan of, for whatever reason, the knife that you get. But if you've never owned a Lambert and you're looking at getting your very first one, do it. It is a wonderful experience. It is a fantastic quality knife, no matter which model you choose. I can't think of a single Lambert made that I wouldn't want. He just does such impressive, beautiful, and I'll say it again, perfect work. This is seamless integration between the carbon fiber scale and the lightning strike carbon fiber bolster. There is no detectable jump between materials. You just don't know. It just feels like one material all the way through. And if you think that's easy to do, pick up somebody's knife, some maker that charges $500 and does work that looks like this. And you're going to feel that seam. You're going to know that you're jumping from one material to the next. And then you'll have a greater appreciation for the work that Kirby does. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off for now, and if I've got time, I'm going to try to knock out one more video for today. Anyway, I'll get this uploaded as quickly as I can, and I'll see you guys soon.